These are rules for divisibility. These are rules you divide with ease. Let's start with the number 2. Into even numbers, yes, it's true.
Hi students, Mrs. Freeman here. Tonight's lesson, 6.1, Rules of Divisibility, begins our next unit. And we will be using the rules of divisibility throughout other lessons. So tonight's lesson is pretty important because it lays the foundation for being able to make equivalent fractions or reduced fractions. So our objective is use divisibility rules to find equivalent fractions. Divisible is a term that's given when a number can be divided by another number evenly. In other words, there's no remainder left. For example, the number 24 can be divisible by 3 because it equals 8, and there's no remainder left. We could also divide 24 by 9, and we'd have an answer of 2, and there would be 6/9 left over. So that would not be divisible because there is a remainder. We'll begin by looking at the chart that you placed into your math notebook today at school. The first numbers we'll look at for testing rules of divisibility will be 2, 5, and 10, and we'll start with 2. And a number is divisible by 2 if the last digit in the number is 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So no matter how many place values the number has, you just look at the last place value. So down below I've got several examples for you to look at, and you can see the ones place value is an even digit, so all of these numbers are divisible by 2. You may place these numbers in your notebook, or you may come up with your own numbers as examples. When testing a number to see if it's divisible by 5, the last digit is either 0 or 5. So you can see down below we have several examples again, and each example either ends in a 5 or a 0. So therefore, all of these numbers are divisible by 5. Again, you can copy the examples below or create your own. A number is divisible by 10 if the last digit is 0. So some examples for numbers divisible by 10 would be what's popping up down below. So again, you can copy those into your math notebook, or you may create your own. In your math notebook, I'd like you to tell whether or not each number is divisible by 2, 5, or 10. When you're ready to check your work, press play. Next, we'll investigate the rules of divisibility for 3 and 9. So when a number is divisible by 3, it's because the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. Well, what does that mean? Let's take a look at our examples down below. So we have 51, 132, 9,651, 72,450. Well, if we add the digits together, like 5 plus 1 equals 6. Well, we know 6 is divisible by 3. So therefore, 51 would be divisible by 3. Now take note, 51 is often on the MComp that you take each week, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was on the MCAs. It's one of those numbers they typically use to try to see if you can divide it by 3, and it is divisible by 3 based on this rule. So you can see the other examples as well. Adding up the digits, you get a sum, and if it's divisible by 3, then the complete number is divisible by 3. So the rules for 3 and 9 are a little more labor intensive, but they're very helpful. Now a number is divisible by 9 if the sum of the digits is divisible by 9. So rules for 3 and 9 are very similar to each other. For example, down below we have 81, and if we add 8 plus 1, we get 9. And 9 is divisible by 9, so therefore 81 is divisible by 9. It's also divisible by 3 because 9 is divisible by 3. So 495 totals 18, the sum of the digits. That's divisible by 9, so 495 is divisible by 9. It's also divisible by 5. So you can see that these rules can help you find several numbers that divide into the number. Can you see which numbers divisible by 9 are also divisible by 3? Yep, each one of them. However, if you look on the other side, 9,651 would not be divisible by 9, even though it is divisible by 3. So if a number is divisible by 3, doesn't necessarily mean it's divisible by 9. But if a number is divisible by 9, it is divisible by 3. Again, in your math notebook, without dividing, tell whether each number is divisible by 3 and or 9. When you're ready to check your work, press play. We can also test a number to see if it's divisible by 6. So a number is divisible by 6 if the number is divisible by 2 and 3. So the numbers below are divisible by 2 and 3, and of course because all three of these numbers are even, and then if we test for divisibility by 3, we just add up the digits. And you can see that all 3 digits add up to a number that is divisible by 3. Without dividing, tell whether each number is divisible by 6. The last rule we'll focus on tonight is the rule of divisibility for 4. And a number is divisible by 4 if the last 2 digits of the number are divisible by 4. So of course 36 is divisible by 4. Okay. But 112? Sure, 12 is divisible by 4. 3,420? 20 is divisible by 4, equals 5. And the last one, 98,432? Well, 32 is divisible by 4. Therefore, this number is as well. So one more time in your notebook, without dividing, tell whether each number is divisible by 4. You can just write yes or no. Press play when you're ready to check your work. Tonight's lesson 6.1 was on rules of divisibility. Our objectives were use divisibility rules to divide efficiently. Review any part of this video you wish, especially if you need to double check some of those rules. When you're ready, head on over to Schoology.com and take the quiz. See you tomorrow.